Sweet child in time, you see the line that's drawn between good and bad. See the blind man shooting at the world, bullets flying, taking toll. If you've been bad, and I bet you have, and you've not been hit by flying lead.
Så da jeg her på Arnulf Øverland Galleri, og jeg står sammen med norske Tom Roger, and I'm standing here with Fin Costello, who's a photographer. So how did you guys start collaborating?
Tom asked me to I had worked with Tom. He asked me to get involved in an exhibition idea he had, showing photographs of the musicians that he listened to when he was growing up, which I'm old enough to have photographed when he was growing up. And that's the beginning that was the genesis, that's how it started. So.
Better bow your head. Oh, wait for the ricochet.
So what photographs are at this exhibition?
Well, from 1969, Jimi Hendrix, which was a photograph taken when I was at college on work experience, quite by accident. And then right through until about 3 or 4 years ago. And the last big shoot I did was the UB40 for a cover for them. And in between times there was Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, Deep Purple, Kiss, and many, many, many others. Japan, Bauhaus, so on. And a lot of death metal and black metal guys, which are not in the exhibition.
Så fortell meg hvordan du og Finn møttes.
Ja, jeg spilte inn plata Obviously Embraced i Dublin, og rett før vi gikk i studio så foreslo produsenten at vi skulle gjøre en liten uformell konsert på den puben der vi øvde. Og vi spilte en konsert for 30-40 mennesker i lokalet. Og Finn bodde da i denne landsbyen og var en av de som tilfeldigvis var innom og hørte på konserten, og vi ble kjent i løpet av kvelden, og i løpet av kvelden så fant jeg også ut at han var ansvarlig for en god del av platesamlingen min, sånn visuelt, så da inviterte jeg han til å komme til Dublin og fotografere oss, og det var egentlig starten på alt dette her også.
Fortell meg litt om bandet ditt, hvordan musikk spiller dere?
Fellesnevneren er vel rock, og jeg på en måte vokste opp med Dylan og Lou Reed og de gode, gamle, store rockeprofilene. Så det er på en måte det landskapet vi ligger. Prøver oss å gå ganske vidt sånn dynamisk, at vi gjør ting som er veldig stille og akustiske. Samtidig så går vi ut og gjør ting som er ganske skittende og bråket, og hele det spennet imellom der, som jeg synes er interessant.
So heavily it took you by surprise. Water that's been stirred still reflects a piece of sky. Take the sunken dreams of yours and blow them up so high. It's ransom. never saw the substance of your ground. Now you stand before them. Won't you share what you have found? Is it transient? Oh, transient. Prophets carried with pride. Hemispheres may drift apart, ocean may collide.
So can you please tell me a little bit about this Van Halen picture?
Well, I opened a studio in London in the late 70s. I was still living in America, and I'd worked with Kiss, and they recommended to Van Halen, with whom they were friends, that they should come and get me to do their photographs when they were in England. So I did, and we photographed them live a few times. Got on all right, and then they came back to do a famous, legendary show at the Rainbow Theatre under their own name. They were supporting Black Sabbath the first time, and it was one of those magic concerts that everything went right. Everybody was very high afterwards, so we were up in the dressing room, and Dave and Eddie, the singer and the guitar player, said, why don't we go back to your studio and have a party? I had a big studio then. And so finally I agreed, and we went back to the studio with a crowd of people. And the idea came up that Elvis Costello had just had himself arrested outside the Hilton Hotel for busking and got loads and loads and loads of publicity. So they thought that'd be a great idea. So they decided they'd raid Buckingham Palace and attack the palace. And an assistant of mine and his friend had access to the uniforms. His friend worked in the uniform department of this costumiers next door to the studio. So at about 3 or 4 in the morning, we all wound up, a little bit drunk, the band dressed in uniforms, and we did this shot, which was supposed to be a bordello in New Orleans. And we ended up with this shot. The next morning, we wound up going to Buckingham Palace, where they rushed into the palace forecourt to get arrested. And the policeman sort of asked me if they were an American rock band, and went over to them and asked them if they were having a good time. So that didn't work at all. They didn't get arrested, and they felt very silly. But the picture got published a lot, and it was great fun to do. And it was one of those spontaneous things. If you were there and you were open-minded enough to go with it, they would come up with an idea, and sometimes people would say it's silly, and you'd miss the opportunity. But this time we did it, and it worked, you know.
Have you walked out that door? Been dragged back in? Has God laid his finger so cold on your chin? Have you caught a faint glimpse and you wanna see her? The brilliance of diamonds, the blackness of coal. Have you ever beheld lover's eyes glow when all you could feel was low, low?